Hello and welcome everybody, Duckville here. We've got some StarCraft 2 Heart of the Swarm action coming at you right now on one of the new maps. I haven't actually done a cast at all on this map. I certainly have played a lot on this map since the recent patch and the ladder change with the maps and all of that, but we haven't actually done a cast of it. So what we'll do is we'll do a nice cast of this particular map featuring a particular player I'm sure you all know, but our Terran player across to the top left-hand side is our red player here. It is NG Deathrow. He's going to be our Terran player looking to do some damage against his opponent, who is our blue Protoss over here. You'll know him from Team Evil Geniuses. It is iNcontrol. And we'll see what these guys get up to. I wonder what... I don't even know what NG is. Maybe that's Nice Geniuses. Maybe that's what that is. It's the polar opposite to the Evil Geniuses. But who knows? We'll see what Deathrow can get up to here on this very big map. Xeros Prime TE, the tournament edition of this map. Let's what we'll do is we'll just quickly go over some of the features of this map. You do have just a standard sort of ramp down towards your natural. Let's just mention the main, a large amount of space just across to the side of the main there. It's a little bit similar to Newkirk Precinct, how there's sort of a lot of space and then it opens itself up into some dead zone over here where drops can come in, this sort of thing, from the sides, which is a very, very common thing to see, especially in these positions, especially when there is a Terran in the game. If it's a PvT, you can guarantee yourself there'll be drops attempted through that side. Normal sort of ramp leading down towards the natural, which has two entry points. You've got destructible rocks just over here, and then that can lead straight up into the natural, although there is a it's a rampless entry towards the natural when you don't count the rocks there. So there is a little bit of space. This can be blocked off by one Rax and a single supply depot. If you're a Terran, if you're a Protoss, you can, if you want to, do a pylon and a forge. I probably wouldn't really advise it though. It's nicer to have a little bit of space left over, but it is a pretty reasonably easy natural expand to take. It sort of reminds me a little bit at this whole map itself of a little bit like Entomb Valley. The reason for that is that your third is really, really close, very, very easy to take. You do have to have this consideration that there is a large ramp, of course, which takes a huge amount of force fields, a huge amount of buildings if you want to try and wall it off, which is why, we don't really commonly see people just blindly go 3 quick expansions unless you're a Zerg. So this map, it does favor a little bit of macro play. There are so many bases across the map. There's a couple along the sides. There's also the opposite main bases down towards the southern and the sort of opposite portions of the map down here. We can see that iNcontrol is actually going to open us up with what looks to be a proxy Stargate. He's picked up double gases. He's mined away quite a lot of that gas inside there. This Reaper that's come out from Deathrow, going to have a quick look. He's probably going to click on that simulator. No, he doesn't. Okay, that's a little bit interesting. He decides to get out of there as quickly as he can. The Stalker is going to force that Reaper back for the time being. So, for the moment, Deathrow doesn't actually know that there's double gases inside here. Let's just double check. Yeah, he doesn't know that that second gas is there. Didn't even have a quick look at how much gas is gone, but you can sort of assume that this kind of thing, a proxy Stargate, is certainly a possibility, which is what a lot of Terrans like to prepare for in this matchup. By doing this, well, you can do it a couple of ways. You can do this particular build that Deathrow has opened up with, which is a 2 racks after your expansion. And what you'll have is a reactor to get a whole bunch of Marines out. Some players, however, like to do a reactor racks along with a factory, getting out a Widow Mine or 2, trying to prepare for the possible Widow Oracle attacks that can come along from a Protoss. So iNcontrol is going to open us up. He's got this pylon prepared here for the possible drops that come along this side. There is a little bit of space, just if you haven't really played the map, there's a little bit of space to jet by if you've got those medevacs and you sort of run them in as quickly as you can, but it's not too easy to get past that top point. So normally what you see is people will drop in here, they'll drop in this side as well, and of course, you can also come down the back side of the natural here as well. There's a little bit more space, and that is also a possibility. So those sorts of things may come about, but iNcontrol is going to open up the main pressure of this game with his first Oracle now popping out. We'll see how much damage this is able to get done. There are a couple of Marines inside the main. A turret is also just about to finish up as well, so he's going to have that defense there. We'll scout out that those SCVs and the mules are down there at the natural. We'll see what damage you can get done. It looks like maybe 1 or 2 SCVs. I don't think it's going to be too much. 1, 2, and then maybe a Marine, and then you'll have to get out of there. And yeah, he gets a total of 3 kills, not a huge amount. I mean, he possibly could have got more if he came straight towards the natural, but the Marines are now down here, ready to defend, and the Oracle will be forced back. Very low health on these Oracles, and shields, I suppose, as well. Once the shields are gone, they really just evaporate, especially when there is a missile turret prepared in this sort of position. So really nicely defended that with that initial pressure there by Deathrow, and it looks as if he is going to transition into standard buy. We've got the stim now on the way. It looks like with the +1 weapons will probably get started very soon, and then what we'll see is him push out at around about the sort of 11-minute mark. The fact that his +1 is still a little bit delayed at the moment may make it a little bit later, perhaps a 12-minute sort of push, but we'll see. He's also a little bit supply blocked, which also makes it a little bit delayed. But in control, we'll see what he's got prepared for the impending attack, which is, of course, that 11 to 12-minute attack is a very, very standard sort of thing to see in this matchup when you're playing against a Bioterran. Is a very, very standard sort of pushing power with the first 2 medevacs to pop out. What we even may see is the first 2 medevacs come in, and perhaps one of them will drop inside the main here, draw some of the forces of iNcontrol back, and then we'll see how iNcontrol is able to react to that. He does have the mothership core. She's got a lot of energy built up, so he should be relatively well prepared here. And the attack will probably come through in probably about 2 minutes or so, but we'll find out. iNcontrol, keeping an eye on the front door there. Always good to see what you can do in terms of spotting when your opponent's coming along, because then you can adequately prepare. You know, if you can keep pumping out those probes for a moment here, and then save up some of your minerals when the attack is impending, crank out a couple of zealots, perhaps even you know, a few sentries as well to help out with the force fields as well, then you can really put yourself in a good spot to defend against this kind of attack. But I think the Deathrow, it's looking like he is going to go for it. The combat shields is also being researched right now. He's got a total of 3 racks, continuously pumping out Marines. A couple of Marauders also coming along as well. There's that switchover of the starport onto the reactor. Now the factory will drop down. May produce a Widow Mine or 2. I really love when players just throw in a random Widow Mine just inside their main base, whether it be to protect the main mineral line, or perhaps to stay off to the side to stop any warp prisms or anything like that. But it doesn't look like we're going to get anything of the sort here from Deathrow at the moment. But combat shields is now finished. Stim, concussive shell is just about finished. Stim is already done, and we will probably see Deathrow start to move out. Now, this is a sort of timing when you see the players move out. The first couple of medevacs are on the way. Stargate has still not been spotted, so he's still got that Stargate available if iNcontrol would like to use that. But what I love how he's taking control of quite a lot of the map here. We've got the one of the 2 Xel'Naga watchtowers on the map is keeping control on this section here. It looks like he's going to build another proxy pylon just across to the side. He's kept that out of vision of the Xel'Naga watchtower. The range of the watchtower just sort of extends to about there, so he's sort of he's kept it out of that vision for the moment, but now the big push is on. The first couple of medevacs are now on their way. He's going to load up one of them with 3 Marauders, a couple of Marines as well. In fact, both of the medevacs are going to be spotted, are they? Where is the, there is an Observer, yeah. Observer in a perfect position here for iNcontrol. He's going to scout out those 2 medevacs just roaming their way across. Will he be prepared inside the main base? We'll find out soon. The forces of iNcontrol currently sit at a total of 2 Immortals, a couple of Sentries, the Oracle, and relatively few Zealots as well. So the drop's going to come in. A pylon's going to go down, no question about that. It looks like the Photon Overcharge is activated over at the Nexus inside the main. So this drop will only grab a couple of pylons, and that's about it for the time being. And Deathrow, we'll see what he's going to do here, because he certainly has a sizable force right now. Looking at the army supply, 62 to 36, but the first Colossus has now come out. Deathrow dropping all over the back side of that Colossus. iNcontrol forced to run it away as quickly as he can, but a Marauder comes out and snipes it down very quickly. iNcontrol could be in a bit of trouble right now, but it looks like with a couple of good force fields at the front door, he's going to force back quite a lot of the units, and we'll probably see the planetary Nexus Cannon of Doom come into effect here, because I don't think there's... well, no, he's going to let it go. I do like the patience there from iNcontrol, just keeping everything patient. Reactivates the Photon Cannon on the Nexus inside the main, and it looks like the drop will be thwarted. So overall, I don't think that was the most successful attack from Deathrow. Probably could have got a little bit more, but he did kill off a few units. He used up some of that Mothership Core energy, and not to mention, killed off a Colossus as well, which is a nice way to start off the game. So iNcontrol, currently sitting at a total of 52 Harvesters right now, up to a nice total. Can continue to chrono boost down a few more, I'm sure. He's also got a lot of tech on the way. Charge being researched. 2-2 is also just about done. So he's got some really quick upgrades coming along. A couple of Colossi will also be added into the mix. This Oracle still scouting out what's going on. A couple of these medevacs, I'm not sure what they're up to. But behind that first attack, Deathrow was able to set up his third base here. And we'll get that orbital command pumping out quite a few SCVs. We'll see those mills drop down as well, really augmenting his economy at this point. So things looking pretty decent for Deathrow at the moment, but we'll see. Is he going to be able to hold up against the might of iNcontrol? Because there is going to be 202 on these units right now, so he's going to be a little bit ahead. There will be a little bit of a window where Deathrow is going to be slightly behind in his upgrades. We'll see how far that comes into effect very soon. And, well, I really want to see something, like, interesting come out of that Stargate. It still has not been spotted. Perhaps another Oracle or something? I'm not really sure, but who knows. But iNcontrol is going to take his own third base just down here. Not opting to take this base just because of the susceptibility of this one to drops inside here. You can also have drops that go inside the main, then come down towards the third base as well. So it is very, very exposed at that base there with the backside leaning onto the dead space of air there. So looks like iNcontrol will take his third base down towards the 3 o'clock position here. However, I'm not sure how long this is going to last. The probe is being spotted running in. A couple of Marauders will stem up, and that Nexus is not going to survive too long. Too many bio forces here with their 1-1. They're about to get their 2-2, and iNcontrol now researching his 3-3, but will he have enough enough economy to back all of this up? We've got a few more gates now going down inside the main. Templar Archives is also finished up. Hasn't started Storm just yet, but we'll probably get that started very soon. His 3-3 still coming through at the moment. So iNcontrol starting to move out now with a very hefty force of units. He's got a total of 90 supply right now against the 84 of Deathrow, and he's got a lot of power units here. We've got these Colossi, we've got the Archons as well, along with an Immortal that is still around from that first battle. So he does have a nice mixture of units at this point, but he will need to get that third established, because you just can't fall behind when it comes to a Terran player who is ready to get their economy into shape like this. They're going to be dropping continuously with those 3 medevacs now heading out. Vikings have been added into the mixture here, and I do love to see a double starport from the Terran player. It's always good to see extra medevacs coming out, extra Vikings at the same time as well when you are facing a Colossus-based opponent for the time being. So the medevac drop now looking to push inside the main. Will he be able to get much done? He's trying to go all sneaky. iNcontrol sees the initial part of it, stems up a couple of units and takes down the Templar very swiftly. Nicely done there by Deathrow, and it looks like this bio push is going to be able to get inside. He may be able to snipe off the Cybernetics core, the Robo. Something like this will be a nice target, but he's going to try and target down the main Nexus there. But the main battle will occur here at the third base, just outside the third of iNcontrol, and the units of Deathrow get absolutely slaughtered by not only the Zealots on the ground, but the Colossi just roaming their way across, and it looks like iNcontrol defends the main base quite thoroughly. So Deathrow, after his first early push, did a semi-reasonable amount of damage. He forces a cancel on the third base of iNcontrol, but now after that, he's struggled, unfortunately, with that fight there. I think just a little bit of mispositioning here. When you get caught in an area like this and you've got Colossi just bearing down on you from all angles, Archons and then Zealots coming in right at the front as well, it is a pretty big ask for a Terran player to be able to survive that kind of thing. But he drops in again at the main base. We also have another attack going in at the front door of the third base for Deathrow. Does he have enough to keep up? It looks like with a couple of EMPs, Deathrow may be able to force iNcontrol back, but the Colossi are still doing quite a lot of damage. Targets down the Vikings up in the sky. Nicely done by iNcontrol there. And it looks like he's going to be able to tear apart some of these forces, but the Colossus walks in a little bit close there. Unfortunately for him, a storm goes down finally. And iNcontrol, he's got a couple of more storms here. Will he be able to get them off? One more. There you go. Right on top of every single unit there. And Deathrow loses quite a lot, and he's also losing some of his SCVs. We see the SCV count start to fall a little bit. Looks like inside the main base, iNcontrol finally cleans up that attack that was there. And it looks like Deathrow, well, he's sort of struggling a little bit at the moment, but interestingly, the supply count is quite even. But iNcontrol has a couple of proxy pylons about the map. He's able to reinforce with these Zealots coming up here. These guys have got 303, they've got charms, they're able to get into the battle, and a couple of Hellbats may be the interesting factor here, the X factor, if you will, to try and hold back this attack. So iNcontrol has his third base established, needs to get that gas coming in, and then it'll be all set and ready to go. Perhaps a couple more gates inside the main. If not, at least a robo or two. Would love to see 2 robos go down from him. He's got his opponent switching into ghosts. As we can see, a few ghosts were out on the field initially. They've been taken out now, but I would expect that he's going to continue producing them. Yeah, there's still a couple more ghosts that are going to be cranked out here by Deathrow, and if iNcontrol could just throw up a couple of sudden Colossi, like 2 at a time maybe, then he might be able to catch out his opponent. Looks like the Templar getting targeted down by some of these Marauders. Very nicely done. Nice micro there from Deathrow. Gets most of them, but unfortunately it looks like some of the Templar will remain. Storms going down on some of the units there. Very nicely done. Those Storms doing a heck of amount of damage there. And iNcontrol will hold his end of the map for the time being, but we'll see. Will his 4th base economy get up and running while he's delaying the 4th of Deathrow? We'll see very soon, because it looks like iNcontrol has decided it's time to move out. We've got a couple of, looks like a little bit more tech coming down at the back. We've got Blink on the way. We also have, I think we'll probably see, maybe you start researching some shields very soon. Who knows? We'll see. I would like to see that shield upgrade added on, but somehow Widowmine has made its way past most of the forces of iNcontrol. Will it be able to get into position inside this base here? It looks like the probes are going to come out trying to take the mine down. Wow, the bravest of probes coming out to fend off that Widowmine, and that was quite nicely done. Nicely spotted, and was able to force that down for the time being. So 2 more ghosts now on the way. It looks like the +3 to armor is now coming through from Deathrow as well. So he's going to add in a little bit more tankiness to his forces, getting up the 3-3 on all these units, but he is now dropping inside the main base. It looks like iNcontrol will have just enough to defend this with the Nexus cannon now done. Yeah, it is going to force that drop out. This medevac is extremely low. That's like one shot from death right now. So that medevac needs to be very, very careful with its positioning right now. Also, any units on the ground need to be very careful, because these charge lots are just going to do so much damage. Once they get in the face of the Terran forces, then he's going to be able to tear them apart very, very quickly here. And iNcontrol really starting to take a dominant position in this game. He's up to 71 probes right now. The 7th and 8th gas now coming online at the 4th base down at the, what do we call that? The 4 o'clock position down here. And with his economy in this sort of shape, he's now going to be adding in a couple of robos. 3 robos have gone down inside the main. We've also got the shield upgrade coming along, with a couple more gates being added into the main forces as well. And it looks like he's really going to start to put himself in a good position right here. The Viking count is sitting at 0. 0 Vikings right now for Deathrow. Is he going to be adding in a couple more? It looks like no. He's decided that the main force he's going to need is this Marine, Medevac, Marauder, a couple of Hellbats, and also a few Ghosts will be added in. I say a few, and there's actually like 11 Ghosts out of the map. It's incredible how many he's got right now. And he's going to be in it for a very big surprise. And looking at this force right now, we've got, of course, the Zealots. When they lose their shields, it's not too bad. I mean, they've only got 50 shields, but 100 health. The Archons have 350 shields, which is very important. But I'll tell you what doesn't care that much about the Ghosts, and that is the Colossus. They've coming out now in droves. Was about 3 at a time for a moment there, and Deathrow is going to have his work cut out for him in a moment. It looks like this last Marine is going to scout out that there are a couple of Colossi here, and he's going to probably get started with the Viking count yet again. We see 1 on the way. I would expect to see a couple more after this as well. And wow, this it's pretty funny when you have an orbital command scouting out the proxy Stargate here. So finally, that gets picked up by Deathrow. Obviously, not too much of an issue there for either player. I mean, it's not as if iNcontrol has been making carriers out of that, like sneaky carriers to come out of that to attack into the 3rd base or 4th base or anything like that. But looks like Orbital Command had to move across. Unfortunately, not enough minerals here for Deathrow to be able to secure another base down at the southern side here. But he is able to come in here, gets rid of the proxy pylon, which is nice. But there are still I believe that... Oh no, he's actually removed all of the proxy pylons. So Deathrow is going to try and get his economy back into shape right now, but iNcontrol is now maxed out. He's got a huge total of Zealots. We've got 34 Zealots out on the field, 1 for each Marine and then some. there are 8 Templar in the mix. We've got a couple of Archons as well, along with a few DTs that have been added in. This should be really interesting to see if Deathrow is prepared for this. He's got a turret around some of his bases here, but will it be enough? It looks like with all these command centers moving about, that's a really interesting maneuver there from Deathrow, but the Zealots charging in. A huge surround there by the Terran forces means that they are forced back at the moment, but will this Templar be able to get inside? It looks like it's going to try and throw down a storm. Does get the storm down, but the Marine says, I do not care, I've got my raincoat on today. And the DTs now making their way inside the satellite bases for Deathrow, but I'm not sure. Here we'll see how this attack goes. It looks like iNcontrol is actually not in a favorable position here, while the Colossi are able to fire across the ridge and not take too much damage from the Bio forces. He's still suffering quite a lot, and the Ghosts come in, snipe down some of the Templar, while the Storms did get a lot of damage done. I think the big factor right here is that the DTs have gotten in. He's been able to draw back some of the units. He's torn apart some of the SCVs at the surrounding bases here. This third base did lose quite a few of those SCVs. We can see that there are 42 workers killed right now for iNcontrol. So he's done a pretty damn good amount of damage with all of that. The worker count for Deathrow currently sitting at 51. He's got a nice amount of forces on the field, and he's kept that ghost count up. We've still got a huge total of ghosts right now. We've got 15 ghosts, and this is that kind of point where ghosts can really start adding in a lot of damage right now, and we'll see. Are they going to be able to help out here? It looks like the DTs randomly making their way across the map, sneakily getting by some of these forces, or so they thought. One of the DTs will make its way across. It looks like a Templar does get a storm down, a little bit of damage, but not really too much here on those main forces. So iNcontrol is still in a very powerful spot right now. He's up at 184 supply. He's got 4 Robos pumping out Colossi, and while it's not continuously at a time, he still certainly he has the production power to do so, and the DTs still making their way inside the various bases here, getting some damage done. Looks like another DT wasting a little bit of energy there on some of those ghosts, and it looks like we may have possibly a final battle here, but iNcontrol now trying to maneuver into position here to stop that 5th base of Deathrow. Will he be able to? But that is a gorgeous storm right there. A couple of Colossi from the side. Zealots coming in from the flank. The Vikings will take down the Colossi just down to the southern edge, but will it be enough? Zealots are now getting in range. The Marine forces should be able to clean most of these units up, but will it be enough? Because there are more Zealots now streaming in. Storms and Colossi have finally gone down. And with those Zealots just charging their way up towards the natural base here, I think the Deathrow is going to lose a little bit more of his economy here, and that is not going to be good for him at all. A DT inside that 3rd base takes apart some of the units, some of the SCVs, and iNcontrol, well, he's done a pretty good amount of damage here with all of these units here. He's brought the active forces of Deathrow down to just 88 right now. iNcontrol himself is also at 52, but he's also got 4 Colossi now coming out at a time here. He's able to warp in a ridiculous amount of Zealots. These guys have now got 3-1-3 on their upgrades, waiting to see that +2 on the shields very soon from iNcontrol, but he's got a couple of Stalkers, may try and blink these around to keep them out of danger, because these Marines will be able to take them out very quickly here. Blinks it away, maybe able to target down some of those SCVs. They're a little bit low, but no, not able to get too many more of those, and iNcontrol is just continuing to stream Zealots across the map here. They do so much damage. It's incredible how much they actually do when they get inside, and like a region like this, when the SCVs can't really get away. They're charging into all those units here. They're tearing apart those buildings, and this is really going to weigh down heavily on the active forces of Deathrow, because he's not going to be able to produce as quickly as he would like. Looks like this one remaining base is the only one that is mining away quite nicely right now for Deathrow. A couple of Zealots now getting inside the main, doing some damage in there, but the majority of them are now down at the 3rd base. This base is not long for this world, I can tell you what, but it looks like Deathrow is going to split up some of his forces, clearing out the 3rd base, and then clearing out the main with some of the Marines as well. But here we go with the main power units of iNcontrol assembling in the middle of the map. They're just waiting for all of these Colossi to come about. We're going to have a huge total of units right now. We've got a lot of Zealots, Templar coming in, 5 Colossi in the mix, and this is probably the final battle right now. I do not see a way that Deathrow is going to be able to survive this. Only 3 Vikings up in the sky, and that is probably not the best total to deal with 5 Colossus, but here we go. Storms now coming in. Where are they? iNcontrol throws down 1. Does he throw down 2? No, he gets sniped off quite quickly. Speaking of snipe, the Viking actually get rid of one of the Colossus. I didn't really expect that, but he doesn't actually have too much anti-air here. But in control, with Zealots now roaming their way freely about the map, he's able to take down some of the few remaining forces on the ground, and I think we're about to see the final push here. And in fact, we won't even see that, because Deathrow GG's out. He knows he's in quite a lot of trouble right now, and that is that. So in control, bit more of a macro game there. It looked a little bit uncertain during the first initial push, but he was able to hold it all together with the Photon overcharge and then continually holding back those drops, and was able to crank out a huge amount of units towards the end there with that great macro. And with continuous harassment, as you can see, it's very weird to see the orbital commands go on from the main and the natural here, but the macro of Deathrow not able to keep up, and we see him tap out. Hope you all enjoyed that game. I'll catch you all next time. Blast down those Hydras, bodies being blown apart everywhere there, and Awake is just left with a few swarm hosts in the ground. We've got 6 over here, not a massive total. And now we can see with the scan going down, I don't think that Awake